welcome back to our English First Additional Language Lessons by Ms. T.L.L. Today we are going to look into the program of assessment for grade 11 and grade 10. Previously we have done the grade 12 one so that you know what is expected from your good self for the 2024 academic year in as far as formal tasks are concerned, and how to thoroughly prepare yourself to get if not acquire quality results in English First Additional Language, bearing in mind that this is a very critical subject in a sense that it cuts across the curriculum because all the content subjects are being taught and examined in English. And then for grade 11, your case, grade 10 and 11, your case will contribute 60% for your end of the year pass mark, and then the examination will contribute 40%, that which total into 100% pass. Now, what is important is that the importance of formal tasks is to develop the 4 skills, as I've stated in that grade 12 segment, is to develop the 4 skills that are stipulated in the policy document, that which is known as CAPS, that directs teachers on how to teach the subject across the FET band. Now, what is important is not to take any task for granted, bearing in mind that the tasks, in a sense, contribute to final examination and to the papers that you're going to write in your mid-year examination as well as final year examination, including the term test, like your task number 3, that which is going to be a test out of 40 marks. So it is crucial that you know that what is the year plan. What is your year plan in grade 11? What is your year plan in grade 10 in as far as the tasks are concerned? And what is expected from you from each and every task, so that when a task is administered from your respective schools, you understand the purpose, or if not the objective of the task. Because for every task, there's a purpose and an objective. That, for example, listening for comprehension, that is where now we are going to teach you the skill to listen for meaning, that which is a skill of listening and speaking stipulated in caps. When you write, it's going to be the skill for writing and presenting, where you are going to develop that skill and the art of writing for different purposes, different audiences, and understanding different formats of various transactional writing. When you present orally, it's still listening and speaking. And then when we examine anything that has to do with language, is language structure and convention. And those are the skills. So you should be knowing the skills that which I would say are the foundation. If not, they are the blueprint on how language must be tackled in order for you to now at the end of the year say that this is what I have achieved in English. These are the concepts that I've achieved in English. And ultimately, the main purpose is to be in a position to use the language for writing purposes as well as for communication purposes effectively. So for term 1, you are going to have only 3 tasks in grade 11. And the task that you are going to have here is oral, which is listening for comprehension, and it's 10 marks. 10 marks that is going to contribute towards, it's going to contribute 20% to your case mark. This is where your educator will read a text, but I believe that you are going to have already done this. This is going to be done informally first as a preparation for a formal one. Your teacher will read a text, and then from there you'll just be listening attentively, and you should be afforded an opportunity to jot down information that you're going to need to respond to questions based on the information that you have just listened to. So it's 10 marks. Make sure that you have done well in this one. And then task number 2, which is now transactional writing, which is also important. The total marks is out of 30. When you are in grade 11, I expect you to be in a position to distinguish different amongst the various transactional writing pieces. So once you know that is 30 marks, you should be able to remember that these are longer transactional text. And then you should know what longer transactional text, like all the types of letters fall under that. Dialogue, interview, and remember, when you speak about all types of letters, including friendly letter, a letter of complaint, formal letter, business letter, not forgetting letter to the press. So what is important with writing is that you must understand the format. If you don't understand the format, you are not going to win. And then you must also understand the content, meaning that you should be in a position to differentiate between different types of writings. And what is important is that you are directed by the question or scenario so that you understand the context in as far as who are you addressing, and then that which will be your audience. So you would know the correct register, the correct tone to use, the correct language for that matter to use. For an example, you know that there's a difference between writing a friendly letter and writing a business letter. The language and the command of language is actually different, because there you can be a bit informal in a friendly letter because you're writing to somebody who knows you. But in a business or formal letter, you can't be use jargon or slang. For an example, your tone and register must be appropriate for the kind of letter that you are writing. So before you rush to write the letter, you need to study the formats of various writing structures, as well as bearing in mind the steps of process writing. I think in next week I'm going to do writing, because I've realized that writing is been taken for granted, which I don't understand. Why is that the case? Because remember, writing contributes to your 100 marks for paper 3. So if you really want to win across all the 3 papers, the paper that weighs more marks is paper 3. So you need to balance all the 3 papers. So when it comes to writing, please ensure that you follow all the steps of process writing. I think your teachers in your respective schools will take you through that. However, next week I'm going to tackle that, where you start with your planning, your mind map. You start with writing of a draft, and after writing a draft, you proofread and edit. That's where you check your punctuation, you check your spelling, you check your sentence construction, and then once you are satisfied that you have corrected all the errors, that is when now you can go now and write your polished, if not your final draft. So please ensure that you do well in this task as well in term 1. And then task number 3 is going to be out of 40 marks, that which is going to be your term 1 test, and it's going to be language in context. It's going to be a comprehension. You are going to get 20 marks for comprehension. You are going to get 10 marks for summary, and then you are going to get 10 marks for language structure and convention. I believe all these concepts, they are covered in my YouTube channel. You can go and still revise on how to write a summary. I've got quite a number of videos that I've done on tips on how to write a summary. I have done a video on how to approach a comprehension. Remember, comprehension is important in paper 1, because when you write now a fully fleshed paper 1, it weighs 30 marks. So that is where the bulk of the marks are. So you need to also know and have sharpen and hone the important skills on how just to read for meaning. Remember, now when you are in grade 11, you are in a transitional class, that which is going to now take you to your final lap of your school or high school years, that which is now you are going to go to grade 12 in 2025. So you are not longer just going to read for the sake of reading and just copy down the information as it is, quoting verbatim to answer the questions that are asked based on a comprehension. You need to learn the skill to read for meaning. You must know what was the purpose of the comprehension. What is the main idea of this comprehension? You must be in a position to match the title of the comprehension with the content, if not the context of the comprehension, because there is that important question where examiners normally ask you to relate, if not to show the link, where you are asked to discuss the suitability of the title. So those are things that you need to be mindful, if not taking into cognizance. And then language structure and convention. Language is continuous. You know, the aspect of or if not the skill of language, it cuts across all the 4 skills stated in your CAPS document. There's no way that you can speak without language awareness. There's no way that you can write without language awareness. There's no way that you can read without language awareness. So language is important. That is why I said that for all the years that I've been teaching learners and I was able to produce quality results, I ensured that my learners develop the art, if not the love, to acquire and strengthen new vocabulary. Because once your vocabulary is rich, you are now exposed to a number of words, to a number of meanings, and you are able to use words appropriately. Therefore, ultimately, in a position to have the necessary skill to tackle any questions across what language structure and convention. Again, I do have a video in my previous videos where I tackle question 5, that is question 5 of paper 1. And we know that normally the language section of paper 1 is actually tricky for many learners. But I will tell you this, once you can practice, it will become much more easier for yourself. So you know that in term 3, the test and the components for the test that you are going to expect to write about, these are the components of the test. So don't just go to school to write without really preparing, assuming that it's just language. The language section you must prepare using previous question papers, like your tenses, active and passive voice, direct and indirect speech, question text, formulation of questions, joining of two sentences into one. You can check my previous videos and my playlist on paper 1 to revise for this. So that will be all for your for term 1. So it means the total marks for term 1 in grade 11, you are going to have 40, 30, which is 70, and then the 10 marks for lesson comprehension, 8 out of 90. So you are banking on 90 marks for term 1 for you to achieve the desired mark. And then now in term 2, you are going to have oral, prepared speech. Your teachers will take you through the rules for a prepared speech, that which include making a research, choosing a topic, making a research. You are in grade 11 now. You can't just stand up and speak from your head. Your speech must be incorporate a bit of research to show now that you are broadening your scope of understanding. And then you must also choose a thought-provoking topic, not exhausting topics that you have been hearing about and presenting for a number of years. You must become very much creative. You can even use visuals, to drive your point home and to make your presentation colorful. Remember, these are formal tasks, so each and every task is important, and that is 20 marks, and it contributes 40% towards your case mark. And then we are going to have task number 5 in term 2, that which is literature. Is the same as that which in grade 11 and grade 10. You are going to, depending on the genres that you are doing at your respective schools, some teachers will make this out of 70, then divide it by 2 at a later stage, just so that they expose you or give you the taste of what to expect in paper 2. Remember, paper 2 deals with literature. So you are going to have contextual questions out of 15 marks based on the genre that you're doing. It might be a short story, it might be a drama, it might be poetry. And then from there, the 20 marks now are going to be set for using short transactional format. You might be asked to write a diary based on a certain character. So this shorter transactional text, you must not be confused. It will still be based on the genre that you are doing. You might be asked to write an advert about maybe or a poster for a protest in Sophia Town, for an example, and then that poster you'll follow all the, like I've said, when I was talking about task number 2, writing. Even remember here I was speaking a lot about shorter transactional text. So here it means that before, if not prior, administering these tasks, you must revise all the shorter transactional pieces, like your diary entry, that knowing that in a diary entry you express emotions, you don't write, you don't narrate, you don't write a story, bearing in mind the number of words, because it says only 80 to 100. You must revise your advertisement, your poster, directions, instructions. Those are your shorter transactional pieces. If you can master the format and you master the content, you should be in a position to nail this assignment. And then for term 2 mid-year examination, you are only going to write 2 papers. The first paper is going to be paper 1 out of 80. Bear in mind that you wrote paper 1 in term 1. However, it was only 40 marks. So now in June, you are going to be exposed to a fully fleshed paper 1. That which will be comprehension, summary, advertisement, cartoon, and the language section out of 20 marks. Again, grade 11s, you can go through my previous videos to check. I've done a lot of paper 1 content, especially using previous question papers. So you would need to thoroughly prepare for this paper. You are not using guesswork. You must have the skill to answer each and every section for paper 1. And then now you are going to have paper 2. Bearing in mind that you have just completed task 5, that which gave you a taste of what to expect in paper 2. Now you'll be exposed to a fully fleshed paper 2, depending on the genres that you are administering at your respective schools, like I've already stated. So it will be maybe poetry and short story, or poetry and drama, and then you'll be exposed to questions based on paper 2. So it means that that will be the total for term 2. And then your term 2, let us calculate, is going to be 55, because it's 20, 35, and then plus 150, that which is going to be, so the total for term 2 is going to be 205 marks, right? And then term 3 is relatively short. It's very short. Term 3 is very short. You're only going to have 70 marks, but remember, it's important. So you're going to have orals again. Depending on your teaching at the school, it is either going to be prepared or unprepared. But I believe because that for term 2 it was prepared, so you must be exposed to another format of another format of orals, that which is going to be unprepared. And then now the important task in term 3. Now the very important task in term 3 again is essay writing, which is going to develop the skill and help you now to prepare for final year examination, where you're going to write a fully fledged paper 3. Bear in mind that you must not neglect paper 3, taking into cognizance for the fact that you did not write, or you're not going to write paper 3 during your mid-year examination. But it does not mean that the paper must be neglected. In the interim, your teachers are going to continue to expose you to various formats, if not types of writings. So in task number 8, term 3, you are going to write essay, which is narrative, either descriptive. So you are going to go through all the types of essays. I believe that I do also have a video where I discussed essays. So the total for term 3 is 70 marks. And then now we are going to have term 4, where you say goodbye to grade 11 in preparation for 2025 to be now in grade 12, where you're going to write paper 1, paper 2, paper 3. And then you must not be shocked when we speak about paper 4. Paper 4 is going to combine all the orals for the year, which is going to be the first task that you have done, which is 10 marks for listening comprehension, plus 20 marks for orals in term 2, plus another 20 marks in for orals in term 3. That will make oral marks total out of 50. And then paper 1 here is broken down. Let me just make the screen a bit bigger so that you can really see what is that I'm referring to. Right. Paper 1, final examination. You are going to have comprehension, summary, advert, cartoon, language structure and editing, 80 marks. Literature, you are going to have answer a total of 2 sections, 1 question on each genre studied. Like I've said, depending on where the genres that you are doing at your school, it's 70. And then paper 3, we know that is 100 marks. Adding all of that plus 50 marks for orals, they are going to give you the total of 300 marks for your final examination. Bearing in mind that case is 60%, examination is 40%. So you see that it's important that you master and you do justice to your formal tasks in grade 11, because they contribute a lot, 60% more than examination. So you need to balance your work and ensure that once a task is administered, you know the end goal of each and every task. Not forgetting that I said to win in English, work on your vocabulary. This is not your mother's tongue, but it's a language that is additional to you, meaning that you are adding another skill to master language, a foreign language outside your home language. So it's important that you work on your vocabulary. It's important that you do work on your writing skills. You work on your reading skills. You work on your listening skills. You also sharpen the skill to use language appropriately for different settings and different audiences. I hope this has helped you to have a light on what is expected from you in the academic year 2024, and I wish you all the best. Continue to subscribe and to stay tuned in the channel. I am going to continuously upload content that I perceive it to be very helpful towards you achieving quality results in English. And for grade 11, please bear in mind that when you apply for institution of higher learning, you are going to start first with your grade 11 marks. So your grade 11 marks are very, very crucial because you're going to use them next year when you apply, and then as you'll be waiting for your final grade 12 results. Thank you so much.